Hello, everyone. Hope we are all having a great day. Yeah, welcome to the second episode of Deported Archives. Today, we're going to be talking about philosophy, specifically Stoicism. This is the first philosophy stream, right? I'm going to do a lot of kinds of stream. I have like 7 different kinds planned, theology, philosophy, psychology, history, and I think there's one more. Yeah, writing. Yeah, let's get straight into it. Let me see if I can zoom. All right, Stoicism, become undefeatable. This is a video by, oh, I love this channel, but I can't remember their name. Aperture over here. Yeah, great channel. I've looked at a lot of their stuff. Yeah. All right, let's get straight into this. We suffer more in the imagination than in reality. Seneca. Yeah.
In the city of Cyprus in 300 BC, there lived a very wealthy trader called Zeno. While on a voyage from Phoenicia to Piraeus, his boat sank along with all of his cargo. Because of that single event, an event that was entirely out of Zeno's or anyone's control, this very wealthy man suddenly became poor in an instant. Imagine you were Zeno. How would you react to your entire life's work getting flushed down the drain by the sheer force of nature? What is the proper reaction? Would you be angry, sad? Would you feel life has cheated you? For most of us, these would all be normal reactions, but not for Zeno, the father of Stoicism. One small change lasts an eternity.
This video is really well made. Yeah. What would be my reaction? I don't know. I obviously hate the world. Probably blame things outside of if I'm just being honest, I'm not saying this is what you should do or what you should obviously aspire to do when hard things happen in your life. You shouldn't aspire to be angry at the world and just, because you lose everything. That shouldn't be what you aspire to do. But obviously, if I'm being honest with myself, that's probably what would happen. I'd probably be mad. I'd probably blame God. I've done that before when things don't go my way. Blame other people, blame yourself. Obviously, you can't really blame other people for a storm, but let's keep going.
Small reframing of your mindset can cascade into larger and more impactful changes later down the line. The core of Stoicism is the very definition of acceptance and indifference.
Yeah.
After reading the works of Socrates and other great philosophers, Zeno created and taught Stoicism. According to Zeno, although we don't have much control over what happens to us, we do have control of how it affects us, and we must use this control to great effect. Rather than crying over spilled milk, or in this case, drowned goods, Zeno focused on maintaining his composure over the situation, remaining calm
once it's gone, there's nothing you can do.
Despite his predicament. Today, people inadvertently view Stoics as people who cannot be broken, people who don't often linger to the emotional extremes, going through things like fits of rage or bouts of anxiety. But the original idea behind Stoicism was much more than that. Rather than just a way to describe people who are unemotional, Stoicism was a way to view, describe, and understand the world. It was a way of life, and that way of life has lasted for centuries. Stoic philosophy can be applied to situations today the same way it was applied thousands of years ago, and its benefits are just as impactful. Stoicism allows us to process these negative emotions from negative experiences, and turn them into the thoughts that give us a unique perspective of the world.
It's really interesting. Jesus talks about this too in the Gospels. We suffer more in the mind than we do in reality, right? Jesus says, don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow has enough worries for itself. You cannot add 1 minute nor subtract 1 minute from your life by worrying. And it's the same thing with Stoicism. It's like there's no point. Everything that we perceive about reality is internal. So back to yesterday's stream, right? Back to yesterday's stream in psychology with Iroh. You guys have seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, maybe. Iroh is perfectly content drinking a glass of tea, right? That's all he needs is his tea. Something not that hard to achieve. There are people in the show, Ozai, for example, who is not content when he has the most powerful nation in the world, to the extent that he needs to go and take more. He wants to take the entire world. Once he took the entire world, he still wouldn't have been happy. But let's say one guy is perfectly content with a glass of tea, and the other guy wants the entire world. But on the inside, it's the exact same. Things are neither good or bad. It's our perception of things that make them good or bad, and our priorities. Does that make sense? Right? Yeah. Let's keep going. Sorry, and if I don't make any sense, I do apologize. I'm running on fumes right now. All right, let's keep going.
Perspective is everything, and everyone in the world has different experiences and thus different perspectives on things.
Yeah.
Since the Stoics gathered, discussed, and taught philosophy in a public place, their general philosophy was widely known. They believed that the Stoic principles could greatly benefit anyone and everyone, and so it didn't make sense for them to hide that knowledge behind the four walls of a school or of the palace courtyards. As a result, everyone from slave to emperor could learn and become a Stoic. And they did. Some of the world's most notable Stoics include Epictetus, which translates to acquired, as he was once owned as a slave, Seneca, who was a well-renowned statesman, and Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and one of the most powerful men to have ever lived. The early Stoics practiced what they preached, avoiding all forms of segregation and leading the fight against inequality. They even invented the word cosmopolitan, which literally means citizen of the world. When people hear that word now, we think of cities like New York, Toronto, Dubai, and London because of how diverse they are. This was the type of unity and togetherness that the Stoics preached. Even at a time when it wasn't popular, women were allowed to freely learn about Stoicism and become Stoics themselves. So why do so many people adopt Stoicism as a way of life?
In a world Stoicism is a way. So here's the thing. Here's what I don't wrap my head around Stoicism, okay? Stoicism is a non-confrontational way to improve your life. You understand? So it's really hard to base your life around something that is non-confrontational, that it's inactive, right? Because the whole idea of Stoicism is become inactive. Don't let things affect you. It's not giving into something. It's the difference between willpower and discipline. Discipline is doing something that you don't want to do because you know it'll yield a reward, right? And willpower is not doing something that you don't want to do because that will yield a reward, right? It's the difference between working out and dieting, right? If you work out to get your dream body, you're doing something to get it. When you are dieting, you're not eating specific foods so that you look a certain way, right? Yeah. So it's really hard, at least for me, in my experience. It's really hard for me to not do something as opposed to do something. And I think that's human nature, right? And that's why we get principles, we get ideas like replacing, like with addicts, right? When you don't want to do something, when you're trying to recover from an addiction, you try to replace the thing. You don't just try to cut it off, right? Because when you cut it off, you have free time, so you're going to go back to it. But if you replace it with something good or something else, right? You're not bored, so you don't have time to do it. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. But yeah, Stoicism, the whole idea of Stoicism is not letting things affect you. So it's hard to build your life around that. That's why I kind of think it's silly when people, it's not silly to call yourself a Stoic, I guess, but like to base your whole life around Stoicism like it's a religion, because it's not. It's not. Stoicism, it's not doing, there are great principles within Stoicism, but it doesn't give you something to do. Does that make sense? It's not like a religion in that sense. It's not like, Stoicism can't replace Jesus or, All right, let's keep going.
In turns of events, our emotions can tend to get in the way of things.
Obviously, nothing can replace
We
Jesus.
don't really get sad because bad things happen to us. We get sad because unexpected bad things happen to us.
Yeah,
Rain
exactly.
is a good thing. It helps to water our plants, provides water for livestock, and keeps the temperature cool and humid. But the truth is, when that dark cloud catches you outside without an umbrella, it's never a good experience.
Yeah.
So why don't we start crying once it starts to rain? It's because although the situation is bad, we've learned to expect rain. It's something that is unavoidable. We can't control the weather. Although it sucks, the rain passes and the light returns. Stoicism teaches us that in the same way, we should expect that everything bad that can happen will happen. Picture the worst outcome, and be content knowing it could happen.
Yeah.
One of the Stoic exercises is known as voluntary discomfort, an exercise aimed at increasing feelings of gratitude. Sleep on the floor of your kitchen, taking cold.
Bhutan is the happiest country in the world. I'm not sure how you measure that. I'm not sure if it's true. And they meditate on death. The people in the country, predominantly Buddhist, I'm not a huge fan of Buddhism. There, obviously, like everything, there are good things that you can learn from it, but I think it's, you know, as a Christian, someone who knows Jesus, it's uh, mostly a force for evil, as far as leading people away from Christ. But yeah, they meditate, they think about dying, they think about the fact that they're going to die multiple times a day, and that makes them live life knowing that they're going to die. And that's the other thing. So there's two sides to this, right? There's two sides to this, because as a Christian, I believe that I have eternal life through Jesus, right? So it's like, oh, if I'm never going to die, why do anything, right? But I have a call that Jesus has given to me, and I have things to do while I'm on this earth that Jesus has given to me, right? Uh, through His Word and through His Word, like, callings and duties. That's the word, duties and responsibilities. And yeah, yeah. So what he's talking about here is accepting and expecting the worst thing to happen, but being okay with that, right? And that's really deep. That's really deep. I don't know if that's necessarily the best. There's three levels to this, right? There's three levels to a lot of things. There's three levels to this. The first level you have is, I am not going to think about the worst case scenario at all. It's not going to happen. I'm just going to live a good life, merry go lucky, butterfly sunshine. And then when the slightest bad thing happens, you crumble. Your mental fortitude crashes. Then you have the next level to this, which is, okay, I accept the worst thing's going to happen, but this makes you paranoid, and it makes you miserable, and it makes you depressed because the worst thing's always going to happen, right? And then the last stage to that is, the worst thing is going to happen. I've accepted that it's going to happen, but I'm okay with that. And I am at peace with that. And if that happens, so be it, right? It's really hard to get there. I'd argue without Jesus, you can't get there. Not really, right? But the thing about Jesus is he gives you hope, right? That's the thing about, like, I could die. I'm going to die. Everyone watching this video is going to die. But I have hope at the end of that. I have hope for what's going to happen after that, right? Let's keep going. But obviously, Stoicism is a bit different. Stoicism is just accepting bad things are going to happen.
Showers when you normally take hot ones. Eat nothing but potatoes for a few days. Things like this. This exercise helps you to understand that no matter how hard it gets, you'll still survive and potentially thrive if your mindset is right.
It's the idea of intentionally making yourself uncomfortable. This is this is like the first idea of, like, making yourself uncomfortable, right? Because if you're never uncomfortable, you don't appreciate comfort, right? Let's keep going.
By being able to withstand these uncomfortable situations, we indirectly prepare our mental for future misfortunes. With the current state of the world, where advertisements are constantly being shoved down our throats, we're made to believe that if we don't have the next best thing, look a certain way, or make a certain amount of money, that we will never be happy.
Yeah.
This message is more important now than ever.
Yeah.
We enter the world
because you don't need these things to be happy.
We grow up being taught things at home, in school, and by observing the world for ourselves. Mm-hmm. The thing is, a lot of times, all three of these sources of knowledge teach us in different ways. The question is, do we need to internalize all of this knowledge? If we do, we could unknowingly be setting unrealistic expectations for our lives, leaving us ultimately disappointed and unsatisfied in the end. That's no way to live. We should instead focus on improving ourselves, for ourselves. We should do things for ourselves and only for that reason. Attaching any external hope or secondary attachments to the actions we take.
This is the thing. I don't know if they're going to talk about this, but this is the thing. Stoicism is really self-centered. And I think that's its biggest flaw. Is it doesn't acknowledge God, which most people don't. Most people don't. And it doesn't acknowledge other people. I think it's a better message to communicate, do what's best for the world despite yourself. Right? Which was Jesus' message. So this is where the flaws, I think, start coming in. Because like he said, you do everything for yourself. What kind of a way to live is that? Who wants to make the world a better place with your energy? Right? And don't focus on the focus should be as little on you as possible. The focus should be on other people and God and the world before you get to yourself, before you start looking at yourself, right? And obviously, yeah, self-improvement, stoicism, all these things, they're good to a degree. You should be focusing on how you can provide for the people around you and how you can help the people around you more than how can you improve yourself even. Let's keep going.
Almost always lead to disappointment. Most of the time, we end up trying to fulfill that emptiness with external things, blowing all your money on a fancy car.
So this I agree.
House,
this I agree.
Even starting a family. Sometimes we do all of these things for their external value and not their internal value. But Stoicism teaches that if you approach life this way, you place your happiness in the hands of external forces. Forces that can always fail. Cars almost always break down. Natural disasters wipe away entire cities, and divorce rates climb higher and higher each year. But even the free things in life come at a cost. The cost of space, both physical and mental. As Seneca once wrote, learning to live with less will create space in your life for the things that truly matter to you.
Ooh, that's good.
Instead, we must place our happiness on our intrinsic value as humans and on nothing we have or can physically acquire. We must choose to do our best to keep a cool head, regardless of what life throws at us. Because regardless of what it is we want, at the end of the day, we don't have any control over the majority of things that happen to us, but we do have all the control over how we react to those things. That is the dichotomy of control, the most important principle in Stoic philosophy. Stoics teach that we must learn to separate what we control from what we cannot control. We need to determine our value not from things we can't control.
The only thing we can control is ourselves. I do agree.
Striving towards goals is a good trait, but breaking down when those things don't go your way is, in a Stoic's point of view, useless. Making YouTube videos is, well, a lot easier than being a Roman emperor, but it can still prove to be challenging sometimes. First, you must form your idea, which takes forever. Then research that idea, scrap it because it sucks, start over, script the video, create the video, edit it, make the title, thumbnail, and everything else before you hit upload. Everything up until the point where you click upload is all up to you. However, once you click that upload button, the power shifts to the YouTube algorithm. Still, a lot of people judge the success of their YouTube channel or Instagram account based on how many views and subscribers or followers they have, metrics of which for the most part are beyond your control.
This is big.
Stoics teach that instead, you should judge the success of your work based on the amount of effort you put in, and not on the outcome of your external hopes. Trust the process. Think about a person who has been working hard at their job for the past 6 months. He now feels he deserves a promotion, and so he walks up to his boss with his performance report. The boss says thanks, doesn't grant him the promotion, and he goes home thinking he must suck at his job. He doesn't consider that the boss might have simply woken up angry, someone else might have been better qualified at the time, or maybe the company was just losing money and couldn't afford it. He doesn't know the reason, but he's still upset. If he simply placed his value on the quality of the performance report he turned in, kept doing what he was doing to earn the promotion he wanted, he could have been much happier overall. With the right perspective, his goal wouldn't have been diminished, but just postponed. It's this reframing of your mindset that is crucial. A true Stoic does not view their successes based on the financial gain of their ventures, but is comforted by the fact that they can live a comfortable life without all the things money can buy.
Was that it?
These are the four main virtues of Stoicism.
we
Wisdom,
got this.
Courage, temperance.
Should I write these? I'm gonna write these down. Hold on, let me go back.
Are the four main virtues of.
Alright, four main virtues of Stoicism. So this is gonna be like yesterday's video. Okay, I have heard these before, but I'm just gonna write these down and then discuss these. Each one of them as he explains it. Alright, wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice. I can see the caption. Okay. Courage. Alright, courage probably relates to other people. And so, see, like, all of these things are good for other people. You understand? What you can do for other people. It's just, Stoicism is really self-centered. And I don't love that. I'm going to be honest. I don't love that. But, yeah. And maybe he'll explain it better. Maybe he'll explain that it's not. I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm not a Stoic expert by any means. All right. That's going to be courage, temperance. No, sorry. Wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice. All right.
Stoicism. Wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice. Wisdom is being able to separate between what is internal and what is external, and the ability to choose our reaction to the things that happen to us. As Viktor Frankl said, between stimulus and response, there is a space, and that space is our power to choose our response. Courage. 2 words. Persist and resist. Temperance, or moderation, is what I just did there, doing more with less, saying more with fewer words. While Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk are fighting at the top of the Forbes list, Stoics believe that the limit of wealth should simply be having what is essential, and then having what is enough. Justice is the most important of all the virtues. It instructs that no one should do harm to another because we were all born for each other.
This is good. I love this message. I love this message. Justice,
Nelson Mandela was one of the most famous African leaders in the world. While he was fighting against apartheid, he got sentenced to life imprisonment, where he stayed for 27 years before finally being released. When he was released from prison, he was elected president of South Africa, and thus, many people thought he was going to brutally punish all the people that had anything to do with apartheid or his imprisonment. But of course, he did not.
Exactly.
Throughout his time in prison, Mandela read the works of Marcus Aurelius and learned many of the core values of Stoicism, all of which he practiced throughout his life. Instead of calling for the heads of the wrongdoers, Nelson Mandela urged his people to instead seek the opposite, to relax and rebuild. He stressed that the past was now beyond their control, and that the only thing they could do was find a way to move forward and build a better nation. This is the way of the Stoic. In modern-day medicine, Stoicism is at the core of procedures like rational emotive behavioral therapy and logotherapy. REBT helps patients to identify negative thought patterns that might be causing emotional and behavioral issues. It allows you to challenge the reasoning behind all these negative thoughts with logic, and when you realize that many of them are unfounded, you can then replace them with more productive and healthier beliefs. Logotherapy, on the other hand, is based on the Stoic principle that humans are driven by purpose. Even in the darkest of situations, we can fill our lives with meaning and happiness by simply finding out what that purpose is. As many of us know, though, this is easier said than done. It's a process, much like everything else. We have to rewire the way we think, out with the old, in with the new. To fix our problems with happiness, we must practice self-worth. By redirecting our definition of value to the things that we can control, we can stop getting fixated on the things we cannot control, and overall, we can lead a much happier and more fulfilling life. Stoicism helps us steer through past and present storms into calmer and more peaceful waters.
And the only thing you control is yourself, man. The only thing you can control is yourself. As a Christian, that's still the only thing you can control. And I still do believe in a degree of accountability and responsibility for yourself. You can control yourself. You can. But that's the only thing you can control. You can't control God. You can't control things around you that happen, right? You can't control other people. Let's keep watching.
We all drown. We can take peace in the fact that we lived a good life, albeit not as long as we had hoped. Because remember, everything has an end.
Yep, except for God. Absolutely. Great way to look at the world. Money's very fleeting. All these things that people, it's good to work out. It's good to take care of your health, but you're going to die, right? It's all going to fade away eventually. So, as a Christian, I'd say invest in things that aren't going to fade away, and your relationship with God and spreading the gospel. I'm about to go eat. Hope you guys all have a great day. Whoever's watching, if anyone's watching, have a blessed one.